Sorry, there's a lot of noise outside. I was going to have my window open during the live stream, but sorry, I was just seeing if my car was gonna connect to the Bluetooth, so hopefully not. There's a big green trash truck next to me and it's gonna throw off my lighting a little bit, but that's okay. That's okay. Hello and good morning, beautiful people. How are you all? Hello! Hello! There's this big green, like, trash truck next to me, and it is really messing with this lighting here. Hold on. Well, it helps a little bit. Anyway, good morning. Hello! Hello! Hope you all are thriving, not just surviving. So, I want to tap into something that I want to share some things that you all might be like really feeling deep down. If you are like me, you're probably exhausted. I am honestly exhausted from living in this Trump era. The reason I'm exhausted is just because of how much craziness there is. It's overwhelming. It's designed to be that way. We all go through good days and bad days. Like, for instance, today I'm feeling much more good than I have been. And sometimes it's like just really, really rough. I was so frustrated when they just went in and invaded DC. They're like, oh, it's making it so much safer. And they have like all these people just like scaring the shit out of everyone. I mean, it's so fascistic to its core. That was bad. But today I'm feeling a little bit more optimistic. Today I'm feeling a little bit more like upbeat because, and this is just my opinion, the reason I feel that way is for a myriad of reasons. This garbage truck is really messing with me here because my lighting is bad. Whew, I'm just gonna have to get over that, okay? I'm just gonna have to overcome it. Anyway, good morning, beautiful people. So today, I was just rubbing off the smudge on my screen. So anyway, how are you all? In one word, describe how you all are feeling in one word. Just like, how are you doing this morning in regards to everything happening in America? Like, put it in the chat below. Just use one word to describe how you're feeling in regards to politics right now. Today, I'm feeling a little bit more, or not just one word, like a couple words. I'm cautiously optimistic for a myriad of reasons, and I'll share with you all. But just put it in the chat below. Make sure to send some likes. I'm going to start out with this, which I haven't actually talked about yet, but I'm going to be starting. Donald Trump has had kind of a turn where now he's becoming a little bit more religious. He seems to be talking a little bit more about trying to get into heaven. And so today's live is going to be focused on his health, also religion, and the discussion around that. And just in general, is he someone that would get into heaven? Have his actions actually proven out to be worthy of getting into heaven? Cautiously tense, yeah, and that's very, very valid. So I wanted to start with this here. Make sure to send some likes. I love all of you. So yeah, exhausted. You and me both, Cantisa. Let's see who's in here today. Cantisa, Kate, Akicha, hello. Jay Harrison, hello. He has to think out loud, which is a mixed blessing. Yeah. So let's start. Let's break everything down here. So a couple of days back, Trump was being interviewed on Fox News. And by the way, I'm not going to call it Fox News anymore because it's not even news. Every single time they're in the courtroom, they are arguing that their news is just entertainment and that it's a joke and that no one should take it seriously. Literally, if you go and read their lawsuits. So I'm going to start calling it Fox Entertainment. Fox Propaganda Entertainment. So Trump went on Fox Propaganda Entertainment and was talking about how he's worried that he's not going to get into heaven and that he's really at the bottom of the totem pole. And that's why he apparently is working super hard with trying to negotiate peace between Russia and Ukraine, when Russia was the one that invaded Ukraine, and when he was the person, along with J.D. Vance, or vice president, that scolded President Zelensky of Ukraine in the Oval Office for, I guess, being invaded by Russia. It's so stupid. But let me continue here. So Trump called in for a lengthy interview on Fox's edition of Fox and Friends, during which he said that his push for peace deals is part of his push to get into heaven, a quest he's been told isn't going well. Well, I don't know who's telling him that, but thank God they're at least telling him something. You know, he says, but you know, it takes in this case two to tango. They have somewhat of a relationship, otherwise we're just wasting a lot of time. You know, I don't want to be doing that. Hold on, let me get my hands real quick. Hold on. I can't do my Trump impression without the hands. You know, I just want to end it. I just want to end it. You know, we're not losing American lives. We're not losing American soldiers. We are losing Russian and Ukraine, mostly soldiers. Some people with missiles being hit in wrong spots, you know, and stuff like that. Well, yes, we're not losing, like, American people, but people are still dying. Same with Israel, Gaza, mainly Palestinian people. Also, this is the same guy who said that he would end the war on day one. If you elect me, I will end the Russia-Ukraine war in 24 hours. Where did that go? Where did that go? I'm sure people took him seriously, but he's like, who knew it was so hard? Who knew there were a lot of negotiations? But this is what he ended up saying. Make sure to send some likes. I love all of you. He said, but you know, if I can save 7,000 people a week from being killed, I think that's pretty, I want to try to get to heaven if possible. I hear that I'm not doing well. I hear I'm really at the bottom of the totem pole. But if I can get to heaven, this will be one of the reasons. And so he was literally talking about, it's on his mind. This is our president that we're talking about here. It's on his mind that he's trying to get into heaven. I think that when anyone comes to that age, I would not know from personal experience or anything, but if you are told like you're close to the end of your life, or you're aging, or you have an ailment that seems terminal, it's very natural to be thinking about the outcomes of what's going to happen afterwards. You start to plot your trajectory. Has your history been good to you? Have you done things to warrant being rewarded or not rewarded or punished? So the fact that he's talking about this and so publicly with it too could be also very much an indicator that he might view himself as terminal. And that's just pure speculation. Okay, I want to be very clear about that. We don't have any evidence or data or science or statistics or facts in particular where he has been diagnosed with a terminal illness. But the fact that he's saying it out loud also shares, like if this was, put this scenario on another politician, it's very logical to come to the same reason. If Biden started talking about getting into heaven, people might be like, oh, well, he's dying. So when it's Trump, I hope that people would assert and think the same way. Which, to, I guess, the credit of some Trumpers, I think that they are. Because we're going to talk about Alex Jones and how he also has a lot of those concerns. But basically, he's saying that, you know, if I can save 7,000 people a week from being killed, I think that's pretty, you know, I want to try to get to heaven if possible. I'm hearing that I'm not doing well. I hear I'm really at the bottom of the totem pole. What's also interesting in that statement is the admission that he knows that he's not doing well. He knows that he's at the bottom of the totem pole. Is this Donald Trump admitting he knows that he's a bad person? Because you're like, oh, well, no, Trump's not a bad person. Really? 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 This is the same guy that based his whole political ideology based on cruelty towards undocumented immigrants, towards the poor, towards veterans, towards people on food stamps, cutting off people with Medicaid. Do you think Jesus would do any of those things? Do you think that Jesus would run a campaign like Donald Trump? Do you think Jesus would act the same way that Trump acts? So Yeah. It makes me think that he knows that he's a con man. He knows that he's not great. So it's kind of a tacit admission, which is actually fascinating to me. But he seems very focused with doing good deeds right now. He's like, well, I saved a lot of lives with India, Pakistan, you know, they were going at it, their planes were shot down. But if I can get into heaven, this will be one of the reasons. So it seems like it's very much on his brain that he's trying to get into heaven. So I went and I did anything that any reasonable journalist would do. I went to Reddit to see some people's thoughts. It's a little bit tongue-in-cheek there. That's not really. But I wanted to see what some people were saying online. Breaking, Donald Trump is feeling guilty about the 13-plus crowd that he victimized with Epstein. Yeah, and that's another thing. Like, don't even need to bring back up Epstein, but like, this is a guy who has victimized underage kids, yet has made part of his whole like Republican Party claiming that people like me, LGBTQ people, are somehow a danger to kids, when they're the ones that are colluding with a whole bunch of with people like Jeffrey Epstein. Now, it's not to say that there aren't Democratic pedophiles. That's definitely, like, Bill Clinton. There's so much evidence there. That's why you don't see Democrats ever protect the Clintons. For heaven's sake, we didn't even like Hillary. But like, anyway, the elderly often get contemplative about the afterlife at the end. Please let this be the end. Yeah, exactly. Not to worry, Hulk Hogan is waiting for you. It's hot down here, brother. I don't have a good Hulk Hogan impression, but you get the gist here. Trump deserves a good peace prize. The best we can do is a Happy Meal. Yeah. Y'all, please make sure to send some likes, share the stream. I appreciate every single one of you. There's this other person that commented, it really does blow my mind that people take anything this man says seriously. I don't get it. It goes against every critical thinking skill I've ever had. My job is literally seeing through people's BS, and I don't understand how you guys can't see it. Now, I don't know what this person's job is, but I thought that was really interesting because this is the kind of stuff I talk about all the time. If you just look at something, don't just repeat the talking points from someone else or someone else's opinion. You develop your own. Think critically about it. Oh, thanks for the gift. Oh, Ginger Monster, hello. It's just like, if you were to take what Donald Trump does and put it on another person, would you come to the same conclusions? Would you come to the same constant capitulation? No. If a Democrat did 1% of what Donald Trump does, it would be the end. But the reason why Donald Trump has this like aura of Teflon or is somehow impenetrable to different pre-existing scandals, it's because his followers are in a cult. They don't need reasons to believe him. That's the thing. You take anything that Donald Trump does and puts it on another person, it would end their political career. It would. And like, in that case, rightfully so. But the reason why Donald Trump has this like big bubble wrap protection around him is because his followers are cultists. You blindly just go with what he says, believes, and does. Doesn't matter if it is completely contradictory. So, this person said a good Christian wouldn't ignore the 20,000 Ukrainian children kidnapped and trafficked by Russia, or talk about seafront villas while thousands of children are killed by the Israeli Defense Force. Well, I might say, yeah, well, that does seem pretty on track for, you know, super evangelical right-wing Christianity today. He's violated every commandment already today. Tens of thousands of people will die because of his Doge cuts. Yeah, honestly, millions will die because of his Homeland Security Secretary cabinet appointee, HHS. Yeah, I mean, or Health and Human Secretary, sorry, that's not what Homeland Security was. It's Health and Human Secretary, HHS, my bad. And then this person was being a little bit more tongue-in-cheek, saying, well, killing Jeffrey moved him up a spot. Again, that's kind of going to the unfounded theory that Donald Trump had something to do with Jeffrey Epstein's death, which we do not know for sure or against. So, for Trump's sake, I hope that hell is a real place. So, just kind of reading through some of these people's comments here, you can obviously see they're not fans. He should be worried. It's projected that millions could die from the foreign aid and Medicaid cuts. So yeah, straight to hell. The boiler room for hell, for one of the most mendacious, self-serving rapist, pedophile, narcissistic the world has ever known. This sounds like the rambling of someone who was told they only have a certain amount of time to live. And that's just, I just want to point that all out here. Like, he's talking about heaven, getting into heaven, being worried he's not going to get into heaven. That itself is a big thing for us as citizens to really just understand and know. Like, if you're like, okay, Scott, I want less opinion, just give me the facts. Donald Trump literally admitted that he's worried about getting into heaven. That's the fact here. That's the raw factual information. Now, my speculation is, well, you really only start, you really, for anyone who is not super religious, like Donald Trump, he was never super religious. Now to start worrying about going to heaven could mean that, yeah, it sounds like he's maybe understanding, like he's getting old. He's worrying that it might be the end for him. Like, put the shoe on the other foot. I wouldn't be surprised if Biden is doing the same thing. When people get to that certain age, they start worrying about death. If someone is diagnosed with a terminal illness, or someone has a health condition that seems like it might take them out at any time. And let me share a little bit of my opinion here. The reason why I'm feeling a little bit more cautiously optimistic and hopeful is I don't know if there's going to really be an heir to Trump's MAGA movement. It was interesting because, and I actually didn't even think about this until now, J.D. Vance was asked recently about whether our vice president, was asked about whether he was going to be the heir to the MAGA movement. And he didn't really give much of an answer. He didn't. But I'm also wondering if this Trump MAGA cult will actually die along with Trump, assuming that Trump doesn't live forever. Even though at one point the White House doctor Ronnie Jackson said that if Trump had exercised and ate better and stuff like that, he could live up to 200 years old, which I'm like, oh my God, what? Anyway, but I'm just simply stating I feel a little bit more hopeful or cautiously optimistic because this is a guy who's objectively not done positive things for this country. Sorry, he's not. He has run his entire campaign based off of spite, anger, and hatred. Now, I don't hate anyone. Not even Donald Trump. I pity him, honestly. This is a guy who has staked his whole political career off of completely demonizing people like me, LGBTQ people. Completely browbeating everyone who is different. Anyone who is different from him. Especially undocumented immigrants. You can disagree with the fact that, people shouldn't be here illegally. No one's really going to disagree with that. But the fact that there is cruelty, there's a lack of due process, there is enjoyment. People are relishing in the cruelty of deporting all of those people without any sense of fairness or due process when they're fleeing violence in their other country. Do you think Jesus would be okay with that? Do you think Jesus would be okay with CCOT? With alligator Alcatraz? Do you think that he would be okay with brutalizing people for the purpose of, I guess, making a point like that? No. And see, here's the thing. You can't be MAGA and a Christian. Sorry, you can't. It is completely contradictory. Thank you for triggering these woke right losers. Well, that's not even the point. Like, I mean, I guess you're welcome, but, and I appreciate the super chat, I really do. But like, it's not even about that. It's just genuine. Like, if you actually follow the Bible, I was raised as a Christian Southern, like, I was almost an altar boy. Okay. I'm a gay little guy from the South, from North Carolina. And when you actually truly follow Christianity, it completely goes against everything that MAGA says. It really does. Christians should be the most woke people. Like, genuinely. Let me share some of my favorite verses. Again, I'm telling you, I am not a Christian. I mean, I shouldn't say it like that. I would view myself as Christian adjacent. The reason why is because there's one big fundamental thing I disagree about with Christianity, and I'll share that here in a second. But just tell me if you think that Trump abides by these verses here. Hold on just a second. So some of my favorite verses are this. The rich and the kingdom of God. As Jesus started on his way, a man ran up to him, fell on his knees before him, and said, "Good teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" And then Jesus answered, "Why do you call me good? No one is good except God alone. You know the commandments. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal." Well, Donald Trump inadvertently threw ICE, through everything that he's doing, like constant cruelty towards undocumented people, him taking away foreign aid for other countries, him cutting Medicaid and food stamps, which are going to lead to people dying. That's cruelty. That's murder. That's adultery. You shall not steal. This is a guy who constantly is like stealing from America. You shall not give false testimony. He lies all the time. You shall not defraud. Honor your father and mother. And then the guy responds, "Teacher, all these I have kept since I was a boy." Then Jesus looked at him and said, "One thing you lack. Go sell everything you have and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven." Well, Donald Trump is surely not doing that. This is a guy who brags about getting rich. This is a guy who's like, "Look, he made millions of dollars today. He made a lot of money, you know?" This is a guy who like retrofitted the White House with gold. This is a rich person who's obsessed with his own wealth. And honestly, for anyone who is in MAGA, like middle America, he brainwashes you into being a cult so that you buy 47 shirts, 15 MAGA hats, 32 yard signs, buy even Trump socks, Trump shoes, a Trump Bible, Trump cologne, Trump honey bear like bottles. This is a guy who milks your loyalty to him in every single way. This is not a guy who actually genuinely cares. He cuts healthcare and Medicaid, food stamps for low-income people, regardless of their political affiliation. He does these tariffs. He's saying that it's making America rich. A tariff is a tax on an imported good. And what it does is it also then makes taxes go up for other people as well. Like, it's just, Trump is literally the farthest thing. He lies all the time. He has a whole Wikipedia page based off of names that he calls people. Do you think that that would be someone that would, be doing good deeds? But all of this being said, let me get to some of my other favorite verses here. And just to continue the story, at the time this man's face fell, he went away sad because he had great wealth. Jesus looked around and said to his disciples, "How hard is it for the rich to enter the kingdom of God?" The disciples were amazed at his words. Eventually, Jesus then said, "It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for someone who is rich to enter the kingdom of God." So that means, regardless of political affiliation, rich people are not going to get into heaven. Sorry, Trump. Sorry, Tim Cook, Tim Apple, Jeff Bezos. Sorry, Mark Zuckerberg, or Bill Gates. So it's this idea that you have to do good works on earth in order to get into heaven. But there's also a big fundamental part of Christianity that doesn't believe that, which gets into my biggest critique here. But there are some other verses. It says, "Blessed are those who are generous because they feed the poor." Well, guess what Donald Trump and Republicans did? These are people who go to church on Sundays and kneel before the altar saying that they are good people. Yet their book talks about how they are literally the biggest hypocrites ever. And look, it's not necessarily my place to always judge. No one is perfect. But you can't fall on that and say, well, I'm not perfect, so I'm going to be awful. No. You put in your effort to be the best version of yourself all the time. Yet, for anyone who votes Republican, anyone that goes to church and says, oh yeah, well, I'm here to help the needy, you voted for a party that cut off food stamps and Medicaid to low-income people, regardless of their political affiliation. That's just cruel. That's not helping people. Do you think Jesus would be okay with that? Jesus told us to feed the hungry, heal the sick, seek to be last, not first. And so, blessed are those who are generous, because they feed the poor. Or, let me go to another one. Whoever oppresses a man insults his maker, but he who is generous to the needy honors him. Well, you know who are also incredibly needy? Undocumented people in this country. They are fleeing violence in their country of origin, aiming to come to America at a chance for a better life, to take care of their kids. It doesn't make them entering the country illegally okay. But also, Jesus would welcome the stranger, heal the Good Samaritan. Or, what is it? Heal the Samaritan. Or, I'm not saying that right. Be a helpful Samaritan. That's what I meant to say. It's just like, I'm surprised that the right hasn't tried to rewrite the Bible in their own way. I'm actually surprised about that. But, you know, the Bible is just always been used. Christianity has often been hijacked by people that have the aim of controlling a group of people like that. You know, like, if you all remember back 1941, there were a group of people that tried to rewrite some verses in the Bible to then take pre-existing verses and try to change it to being specifically homosexuality. Which, by the way, it started by saying, yeah, you're not supposed to, like, sleep with underage people or bed underage people. But they rewrote it to being more about homosexuality. Truly, go look it up. It's 1941. If you actually care about history and religion. So, it's just, people with a powerful vendetta that want to do bad often will use religion as a conduit because they seek it as a labor force to be controlled. Christianity is often hijacked by people who have nefarious intentions to control others. Christianity was used partially to do the Holocaust. Christianity is being used to deport undocumented people, to justify the cruelty of undocumented people. Not fix immigration, no. Make it okay to be cruel to them. It's just crazy in that way. Learn to do right, seek justice, defend the oppressed. Like, help, even the Bible talks about fighting for the little guy. It talks about fighting for low-income people, marginalized people, people of color. The most woke people should be Christians. Where Trump has led even the evangelical base all the way off actually following their religion. Now again, I'm Christian adjacent. I'll get to my big reason why I'm not fully on board with everything here in a second. But continuing on, this is also one of my favorites. This is what the good Lord says: be fair-minded and just, do what is right. Help those who have been robbed, rescue them from their oppressors, quit your evil deeds. Do not mistreat foreigners, orphans, and widows. Stop murdering the innocent. Yet, what does the Trump administration do? Deport people to CCOT. brutalize undocumented people. By the way, and y'all please make sure to send some likes if you're enjoying the live stream. It means a lot. I wanted to share this last night. Like many people, I wake up at 3 a.m. sometimes and I check my phone for notifications. And I did that this morning, and I saw a video that I thought was really intriguing. There was this fellow porcelain white-skinned friend that said, you know what, I'm going to start putting a Mexican flag on my car, or Mexican bumper stickers on my car, hoping that I get pulled over by ICE, and then I'm going to speak only in Spanish to them. Because this is the thing. It's not fixed. ICE is not fixing our immigration problem. They are doing brutality for the purpose of being cruel. You want to fix immigration? You beef up our immigration system. You hire more judges to vet the cases and give people more due process. Republicans don't want that. Republicans don't want people to attempt to live the American dream. Republicans don't want us to be a melting pot. You want to fix immigration? The biggest backlog is people that are trying to have their cases heard before judges. We need to hire more immigration judges. But instead, Republicans decide, let's just be cruel and brutal. Let's just brutalize people and deport them to a prison where they're never going to have a chance at life. Do you think Jesus would be okay with that? No. Yet, these people are like, yeah, I'm a good God-fearing Christian. I'm Southern, so don't tell me I can't do that kind of impression. No, ma'am. The Bible literally says in here that you're not supposed to mistreat foreigners. You're not supposed to brutalize people. Yet that's exactly what they do. And what's so funny is I have barely even looked down at the comments. And my moderators do a fantastic job moderating this. If you're watching this live before it's posted. It's just fascinating to me how much cognitive dissonance comes into play with people who defend cruelty while trying to hide behind a religion, talking about religiosity or doing good works or good deeds. You're going to pull a muscle with the amount of stretching you got to do in order to justify being a religious person and then also defending cruelty at the same time. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. But continuing onward, and I love all of you, okay? I'm just encouraging you, don't be rude, don't be nasty. He has shown you, O mortal, what is good, to act justly and to love mercy and walk humbly with your God. Do you think Donald Trump is humble? Administer true justice, show mercy and compassion to one another. Do you think Donald Trump shows compassion to one another? Keep doing amazing, sweetie. Ignore the brain rot. Aw, thank you. I appreciate that. Now, let me get to my biggest crux of this with Christianity in regards to politics, the Bible, all that stuff. Just as a quick little refresher, Donald Trump has been cited saying that he's worried that he's not going to get into the kingdom of heaven. You know, he was talking about that's why he really wants to push for peace between Ukraine and Russia. He's thinking that is what is going to help him get into heaven. Just to remind you of the quote here. Trump called into a lengthy interview on Fox and Friends show, entertainment, propaganda network, which, again, Fox was sued for defamation at the tune of $787.5 million by Dominion and $2.6 billion from Smartmatic voting systems. So, yeah, I don't know why anyone trusts what they say, because in court they literally talk about how they're an entertainment channel, not a news channel, and no one would take them seriously. Yet, a lot of far right-wing people do, because they reiterate what they want to believe, not what is true. Anyway, continuing on here, Donald Trump is talking about how he wants to end the war between Russia and Ukraine for the purpose that it's going to help him get into heaven. He says, but you know, if I can save 7,000 people a week from being killed, I think that'd be pretty, you know, I want to try to get to heaven if possible. I'm hearing that I'm not doing well. I'm really at the bottom of the totem pole. But if I can get into heaven, this will be one of the reasons. And he was talking about this in regards to the war, or I guess Russia's invasion of Ukraine, violating their sovereignty. So now I'm not going to argue against, we obviously want peace. I think everyone, regardless of political affiliation, wants peace. We all want to stop having this war be funded and perpetuated. But again, let's not think that it's like an equal, like both sides are evil here. Sorry, Russia invaded Ukraine, disrespected their sovereignty. Just saying. Like, it's Ukraine's actions, like nothing was like, oh yeah, well they deserve. No, they didn't. That's just like another country invading the United States. If let's say that like South Africa started invading us, and then imagine France being like, wow, look, the United States, it's your fault that South, like, what? No, that'd be so stupid. And also, I actually was kind of doing a little bit of a segment on this at one point earlier last week, but like a lot of far right-wing podcasters like Benny Johnson, Dave Rubin, or Tim Pool actually have literally been found liable for taking money from the Russian government via like Russia Today. It was like a whole big court case that went through the Southern District of New York. And I was reading parts of that where they were like taking a whole bunch of money to put out preferred talking points from the Russian government. So yeah. Anyway, but going back to this here, going back to this here, Trump is worried about that he might not get into heaven. And I would say that he has a right to be worried. But there's also folks that are saying, well, no, he doesn't need to worry. He doesn't need to worry. And you're like, well, wait, why are they saying that? This gets to my biggest critique of Christianity as a whole. I was researching for this story and I came across this opinion ed piece by Kate Murphy, who is a pastor in Charlotte, North Carolina somewhere. I live in North Carolina, but I'm not going to disclose where. And I don't know this pastor personally. I don't have any like beef with them, but they explained in here how, it is unsurprising that a man who co-wrote, quote, The Art of the Deal believes that heaven is a luxury property purchased by good deeds. But while most wouldn't articulate it so crudely, many American Christians also believe that heaven is another realm that we are permitted to enter after death if the sum of our good deeds outweigh the sum of our bad deeds. And despite all the songs and slogans about grace, most pastors implicitly or explicitly encourage this theological worldview. The prize of heaven is quite a carrot, like carrot as in an incentive, but then the threat of hell is quite a stick, meaning punishment if you don't do it. And this gets to my biggest critique of Christianity as a whole. This pastor goes, so I have offensively good news for the President of the United States. Christians believe that salvation is not a reward to be earned, but a gift to be received. It is a matter of righteousness, but the righteousness of God, not humanity. We don't believe that any person, no matter how many lives they save, is able to earn salvation, but we also believe nobody has to. The righteousness of God is greater than any other force in all creation, stronger than sin, violence, hate, destruction, and death. And that's what gets to my biggest critique, my biggest stick point with Christianity. In Christianity, you just have to believe that you are a sinner and that you are saved. And if you believe that, then you get into heaven. That to me doesn't feel right. Sorry, it just doesn't. It doesn't. Now, I would say when it comes to the other things, that everything else that the Bible talks about, doing good deeds, doing good works, being a good person, following commandments, I'm very much on board with all of those things. But the fact that if you just believe in one thing, if you are a murderous dictator like Donald Trump and you believe that, oh, well, I believe in Jesus, so I'm going to get in heaven. That seems so weird versus like a good person that does a whole bunch of great acts on earth and then they don't happen to believe that and then they don't. This is where, that's my biggest stick point with Christianity. It really is. It's like, what this pastor is saying here is that you don't have to be a good person. This, in a word, this is, in a word, grace. God's love and goodness towards us is not trumped by all the terrible things that we've done and suffering we've caused. God's goodness triumphs not through our destruction, but in our healing and redemption. We currently live in a world ruled by powers and principalities of violence and destruction, but on the cross we see Jesus overcome the world. And that's what is my biggest sticking point. That's my biggest sticking point, is the fact that, like, you can be a good person and not believe, and it doesn't get you anything. But then you can be an awful person, do unspeakable things, and then all of a sudden, as long as you believe that one little thing, then you're good. This is what makes me think that, like, religion is often a tool that's been used by people with nefarious actions, nefarious intents to control others. But also, if there is a Christianity out there that truly believes that there is like a culmination of all of your good works along with that belief, then great. But to me, it just seems really silly to have, like, as if you only believe one tiny little thing, then you're good. Doesn't matter the morality. So what this also gives us a glimpse into is, for people who are modern day evangelicals, they know they don't have to be good people. They know they don't have to do good works. In fact, they can relish in the brutality of the homeless. They can relish in the brutality, the name calling, the marginalization of undocumented immigrants, of LGBTQ people, of people of other cultures, ethnicities, and beliefs. They don't have to be good people. They don't have to abide by the commandments. They say, oh, well, that's part of the Bible, but hey, you know, I know it says that in there, but you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and sin, and I'm not going to feel sorry for it because I believe in the fact that Jesus saved me, so I don't have to be a good person. That's what gets, that's their, like, get out of jail free card. They're like, oh, well, Jesus died for all of my sins, so I can sin as much as I want. So that's truly why Christianity is often used by people with nefarious intent. So, you know, it's just frustrating to me seeing all of this. But now Donald Trump himself has a different idea that you have to do good deeds in order to get into heaven. Which I'm not going to correct him because I want him to do good deeds regardless. But also let me point out here, he's not doing good deeds for the purpose of being a good person in that sense. He's only doing good deeds so he's rewarded later on. Like, I encourage people to be a good person for the purpose of being a good person. Having values to help other people, not to make yourself look better, but to do it because it's the correct thing to do. Don't hold the door open for somebody because you're like, oh, look, I am doing this for you. I look so good. Don't do something nice for the idea of keeping up with the Joneses or keeping up with appearances. You do it because it's the right thing to do, because that's what is nice. You know, and so in all of this, even when Donald Trump is trying to be a good person, it's all self-centered and oriented. So that's a lot of my biggest frustrations with even Christianity as well. Just because, like, you don't have to do, in Christianity, all you have to do is believe that you're saved and you're good. You don't have to feel sorry. You don't have to feel remorse for all of the sinful things that you do. You don't. You just have to say, well, he died for me, so I'm good. I can go out and do all this other stuff. It's like your get out of jail free card. And to me, I think that if there is something up there, they would rather you do good works than just believe in one fact. Believe in one concept or idea. Does that all make sense? Does that all make sense? Now, going back to this further, Donald Trump is worried about his health conditions because, again, there's a lot of things that are leading to other people looking at it being like, ooh, yeah, Trump's health might not be great. So, let me take a sip of my coffee and then we'll get started. Please make sure to send some likes. I love all of you. Hold on just a sec. Okay. Whew. It's been a good live today. It's been a good live. I appreciate every single one of you. I really do. Even if you don't like me, okay? I encourage you, don't come in here and be obnoxious, okay? You know, being obnoxious is just, you don't need to do that. You don't. There are people who will just hide behind a screen and like type nasty things thinking that's what makes you an alpha male. No. No. It's silly and it's pathetic. Don't do that. Instead of hiding behind a screen and being nasty, go out and do something positive. If you don't like me, you don't like the live, you don't like the way I look, you don't like the way I sound, scroll on. Scroll on. You know, we don't always have to be so animalistic over the internet. Be a good person. You know? So, with all of this, Donald Trump is worried about getting into heaven, as we talked about in the first segment here. You know, he was talking about how he wants to really end the Russia-Ukraine, it's not even Russia-Ukraine war, it's Russia's invasion of Ukraine. He wants to negotiate peace between the two. And he's worried because he's like, yeah, I'm at the bottom of the totem pole. He literally says in there, you know, he's talking about how he wants peace and all of that. I just want to end it. I just want to end it. You know, all of that. Then he goes, you know, if I can save 7,000 people a week from being killed, I think that's pretty, you know, I want to try to get to heaven. I'm hearing I'm not doing well. I hear I'm really at the bottom of the totem pole. Again, and also an admission that he knows that he's not the best person. And that's saying it lightly. Like, he knows he's a bad person. He wants to get into heaven for the purpose, and he wants to negotiate peace, not for doing it for the right reason, but so that he can get into heaven in that sense. That all being said, people who talk about getting into heaven often indicate that they're worried about their health conditions. So there have been some things that have been indicators of Trump's health conditions. Is he dying? I'm not quite sure. We're going to talk about Alex Jones here in a minute. Alex Jones, who is a conspiracy theorist, that, you know, guy, that dude, he gives Trump 12 months to live. He said, but at the current trajectory, he warned the president is going to have some sort of collapse within the next 12 months. That's just what he has said. Now, we don't know if that is factual or not. Well, it's kind of hard to tell. That's just speculation, but he said that. That's not up for debate. He said it. Now, just pointing out here, I'm not a fan of Alex Jones. A broken clock is right at least once a day. So, you know, I'm going to give credit where credit is due, I guess. But he's saying that he thinks that Donald Trump is going to be donezo in about 12 months, which I'm not going to publicly say whether that's good or bad. You can read between the lines. But let me just continue here. Trump's hand makeup has returned after questions of president's health over swollen ankle sightings. Now, with Biden, it was being a little bit just slow to respond. He kind of would just be aloof or, you know, just kind of out of it. And there were many Democrats that were like, yeah, dude, you should pass the torch. And that's what eventually led to Kamala Harris being the nominee. But, you know, Biden eventually he's kind of forced out, you know, because when people have that kind of, when they're elderly like that, sometimes they need a little bit of a heavy-handed push. So the Democratic Party did the right thing in nominating someone else, but like it didn't get them far enough. Now with Trump, I don't think that it's going to be as easy because he's very, very pushy. He has been diagnosed with like a chronic, hold on, where is it? Yeah, he has been diagnosed with chronic venous insufficiency. I don't know if it's venous or venous. Which, with that, it means that his blood flow isn't great, which leads to blood pooling in the bottom parts of the body, like at the ankles. And it's not pleasant, is what I have heard. But also he has makeup on his hand again, making me think that because your arms hang down, it also pools in his hands, leading them to looking much more red or purple in that sense. So Donald Trump was seen Friday in Washington, D.C. with makeup applied to his hand after recent questions regarding the 79-year-old president's health. A large patch appeared to be foundation in a lighter shade than his skin and was clearly visible during President Trump's visit to an exhibit at the People's House Museum. Later on in the day, at a World Cup event in the Oval Office, Trump kept his left hand folded over his right as he made remarks, but the makeup was still again visible when he stood up. But you can see here, this is the picture that we're talking about. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean he's dying, okay? I just want to be clear about that. You know, this one little thing. But also, the being diagnosed with chronic venous insufficiency could be a indicator, a sign. Also talking a lot more about heaven. There's also things that we don't know. Again, you don't start talking a lot about heaven as an older person if you're not religious unless you think that you're starting to get close to the end. It's just a thing. So with these signs and indicators, I don't know if it means he's donezo in 12 months, but I'm just simply pointing out that he has some health problems and conditions. So, I mean, here's the thing. I think that politics aside, FDR was in a wheelchair and he was able to do great things for the country. So I'm not saying that these health conditions disqualify him, nor do I think that anyone on any sort of like political ideology are saying that. It's just, it needs to be at least acknowledged and addressed. President Trump is a man of the people, blah, 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 Levitt told The Independent. But you can see here, the president's hand makeup, you can look closely and you can see it there. You can also see the pooling of the blood in the ankles happening here. This is a better picture where you can see it. So, and with chronic venous insufficiency, what this does is it is uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable. It occurs when leg vein valves fail, causing blood to pool and pressure to build, often leading to discomfort. And while it's common for people of Trump's age, it commonly affects those who stand or sit for long periods, older adults, people who are overweight, like Trump, or those with multiple pregnancies. I don't think that's Trump, but still. She added that no treatment plan or lifestyle changes, including for his swollen ankles, have been made. Now, a couple things that to know about Trump. What's interesting is that, number one, he actually doesn't drink. He is a teetotaler, which I'm not here to tell you whether that's good or bad. Health-wise, typically that means that you live a little bit longer if you don't drink. So that's interesting in that sense. But also, he doesn't have the best diet, and we know that. He doesn't have the best diet. Also, apparently Donald Trump doesn't sleep a whole lot. The job of the presidency, I'm sure, is incredibly stressful. Obama went gray in his presidency. The presidency wears on people. I mean, it aged Biden like a grape out in the sun, too. Like, anyway, Trump is checked for lower leg swelling and diagnosed with a common condition in older adults, that chronic venous insufficiency. And you have a lot of other people who are worried about Trump's conditions, but more specifically, people like Alex Jones. Let me read off to you some of what Alex Jones has said, and then I'm probably going to be ending the live stream here soon. So let's finish strong. Can we get up to 100 likes on the stream? I love all of you, even if you don't like me, okay? I appreciate every single one of you. Just spread positivity, love, don't be a jerk. You obviously can have your own opinions, just don't make your opinions based off of being hateful or prejudiced in any way. So, going to this, Alex Jones, who, just as a background, this is a guy who spreads a lot of conspiracy theories. At one point, he even said that the chemicals in the water are turning the freaking frogs gay. So, and this is also the guy that was sued for defamation for constantly lying about Sandy Hook and the families there being like so cruel, claiming that it was somehow a setup by Democrats to, I guess, do something about like funneling money into gun control interests. It was weird. It was just so cruel for him to lie like that. Anyway, the Alex Jones, a broken clock is right maybe at least once a day. So, why not? What's wrong with bigotry and hatred? Oh my God. People are crazy. But Alex Jones warns Trump's cankles collapse is imminent. He says that at the current trajectory, he warns the president is going to have some sort of collapse within the next 12 months. Conspiracy theorist Alex Jones is sounding the alarm on what he dubbed Donald Trump's health crisis and the consequences of the 79-year-old president faces if he doesn't take his foot off the gas pedal. The InfoWars host pleaded Wednesday, the day after Trump's comments about heaven intensified concerns about his condition, that if people around him could just get him to take one day off a week, he could just go play golf or watch movies and have some fun. He deserves it. I don't know about that. The Bible has so much bigotry in it. Yeah, it definitely has some bigotry in it. Trump is like a light bulb starting to go out, Alex Jones said. I've seen a lot of signs of Trump declining, and he's on a lot of the time, but like a light bulb, it's starting to go out. It gets brighter, it gets dim, it goes in, and it goes out. Jones also pointed the president's chronic venous insufficiency, which isn't linked to cognitive abilities, but does cause blood circulation issues, in Trump's cases, swollen ankles. Which, by the way, with chronic venous insufficiency, I am not quite sure, and it doesn't seem like there's a lot of medical evidence to suggest this, but with that, you're not having your blood flow going great. Well, I mean, what's the opposite of the bottom of your body? The top, your brain. So I think it's very plausible to say that there's not a lot of blood flowing to his brain, or there's not as much as there should be, which leads to the kind of craziness that Donald Trump goes on about. But that's just my speculation. I am not a medical expert. He says that's not a good sign for the heart and the rest of the body because of him. He's lost weight. He's not that fat. For everyone that you've known having heart problems, that's not a good night there, okay? And the cankles, they're getting bigger and bigger. Trump is also working too long during the day. I know we have a crisis. At least, I guess to him, there are some MAGA people who aren't denying it. So I guess credit where credit is due there. He's hyper-competitive and hyper-aggressive. So you talk about in the zone. It's fair to say that Trump is unconscious, basically, for periods of the day now. Because there are times where I'm exhausted and working entirely off of adrenaline up to 2 days, and I make pretty good decisions, sometimes better than when I'm conscious. Oh my God. But I think back and I don't remember what I did. Jones said that then Trump was performing well at diplomatic events because it's 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So he's like, yeah, he performs well in the afternoon, but you can watch the decline into the evening and then those interviews. So it's late night and he sounds like he's drunk. He doesn't drink, obviously. He's exhausted. And then it's early in the morning. He doesn't sound too hot. And just sharing all of this, like, Trump is known for doing endless amounts of posts on Truth Social just at midnight. And this goes into, again, is he even living like a Christian? No. So, tying everything together here, is Trump dying? I'm not here to say whether he is or is not. In that sense, he's been diagnosed with chronic venous insufficiency, which leads to a lesser amount of blood circulating through the veins, or circulating through his body. He has makeup on his hand to cover up an ailment there. He's talking a lot more about heaven, which makes me think that he might be getting closer and closer to the end. But then also, is he going to get in? If it does exist, and I guess he believes, then I guess by Christianity standards he could. But that's also what gets to my biggest critique, is that Christianity doesn't incentivize people to be good. It just incentivizes them to believe that they are already saved, which I think is just so wrong in that sense. But at the same time, that is all we have today. I hope that people got some stuff from the live. Please make sure to like the stream before it ends. I'm going to be working on a lot of content today, just editing down past live streams into videos. I appreciate every single one of you. I truly do. These live streams are made possible by my moderators managing the space. I could not do it without them. I appreciate every single one of you. Go out and do something nice for someone today. Okay, there are so many people that are just rude and obnoxious over the internet. Stop. It's so funny because so many people are like, oh my God, social media is such a negative place. You do realize that social media is such a negative place because of the content of what people put into it. Like, I can't go on the internet, it's so negative. You do realize they're like, the internet is so negative. No, it's the people that put their negativity into it. So don't do that. Don't do that. Just don't. So, I love all of you, even if you don't like me, okay? I'm not your enemy. I'm your fellow American. You can disagree with my opinions, but there's no such thing as disagreeing based on a fact. If your interpretation is different, that's fine. Just don't make your interpretation based on bigotry or based on racism, sexism, homophobia, because that just makes you a jerk, which we don't need to do that. I appreciate every single one of you. Y'all are incredible. Shout out to my amazing moderators in here. Please go check out my other content. I love all of you so much. Today's usually Mondays. What's so funny is Mondays are actually my day off, so I'm going to be working a lot more on content. So, all that being said, shout out to my amazing moderators for one last time. Cantisa, you're amazing. Kate, Ellie, Akicha, Ilisa, y'all are incredible. I love you all so much. Joanna Tech, and good friends like Ginger Monster. Oh, thank you, Latin Zane. That's so nice. I appreciate you. Also, Cherie, I love you, Cherie. Jenny, y'all are incredible. Did I miss any other, I hope I didn't miss any other super chats. Thank you to the super chat. Thank you for the super chats and everything, y'all. So anyway, just remember that you are beautiful. You are loved. You are Mom 2030. Aw. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Just remember that you are beautiful. You are loved. You are valid. You are strong. And you are fierce. Aww. Latin Zane, that means so much. Oh, thanks. I love Ilisa. Ginger Monster, oh my gosh. Don't let anyone or anything ever dim your shine. Aw, hearts to all of you. I love you all so much. Bye.